Embassy is an exhibition of 4 installations. Each installation is quite large scale. They mostly revolve around a single large monumental sculpture at the center of each installation. As the title will tell you, of course, the show is about embassies. The whole project really goes back to 2010 with a research grant from the Guggenheim Foundation to start this research into the Cold War embassy program of the United States. Basically, what we're looking at is 4 different geographic situations. These are US embassies built in the 50s or 60s in these different parts of the world. As a Canadian living in the US, I wanted to do a larger research project that was really this kind of outside view of the US, and in this case of the US and its actions in other parts of the world. Baghdad, Havana, Saigon, I'm looking at these very difficult, hot places in the world as far as US interventions. And to throw Ottawa in was an interesting way to talk about, well, we know about US interventions and US actions around the world in places like Southeast Asia or Latin America, et cetera, but what about north of the border? What happened here? So it's been a long investigation on basically the relationship between the 2 countries and the different kind of incursions, from both sides as well. This is an exhibition I think had to happen in Canada. The kind of vision in the project really comes from my early formation. There was a lot of awareness and criticism of what we could call kind of cultural imperialism coming from the US. So it was like, how do we protect our culture in Canada from this outside, larger, more powerful, more seductive kind of culture coming from south of the border? That's, I think, running through all the 4 installations here. I think there's that sensibility is there. And again, it's these contentious zones. So it's places where the US has maybe exercised a certain kind of imperial ambition. Maybe going out on a limb a little bit, but I'm including Canada in that list as well. Each of these projects is really, as much as it is about geopolitics, it's also about these very beautiful works of architecture, these real masterpieces. And that's what was interesting to me. I saw it as this moment, just early Cold War period, when the State Department was actually had a quite enlightened program using architecture for kind of diplomatic purposes, and was working with these incredible architects, all through that period. This is heavy research-based work, but it's also pleasurable in that I'm looking at beautiful architecture, and I'm celebrating beautiful architecture in a way, and I'm celebrating this moment in U.S. government that saw the importance of that. I work a little bit like a writer in that I do research and I develop an argument, and instead of writing a book, I express the argument in an artwork, in an object. And the sculptures, which are, like I said, are kind of the central fulcrum of the installation. They're often monumental sculptures like the piece that's behind me here. In a few of these cases, you actually have full-scale reproductions of elements from the original buildings that I'm studying. So we have over here, we have a brise-soleil, which is a kind of lattice, ceramic lattice wall. That's a reproduction of a section of the facade of the Saigon embassy in its original materials, so presented in the space, and it has this incredible materiality to it, because I'm working in terracotta in that piece. The piece behind me is what I consider a drawing in space, really. It's done using stainless steel tubes, and it's a kind of a 3D sketch of a facade. I consider them portals, really, for the viewer. These are ways of entering the work, not exclusively through this kind of cognitive, we're going to read and we're going to study and we're going to look, kind of follow what the artist did in order to develop the art. You can also enter it through pleasure, like I said, and through the body. It's extremely important to me that there are these other levels and these other kind of points of entry into the work. The route that the viewer may take to the work is completely idiosyncratic. It's based on their own experiences. So, and I think there could be an interpretation of the work that's stronger than my own. With coming from a viewer and coming from other people's interpretation and opinions of the work are extremely valuable and important to me as well. I see it as very much a kind of collaborative thing with the viewer. I also want to challenge the viewer. My work, as some people consider it a little difficult, but I have a policy really to make the work complex, to have material in there that you can continue discovering over a period of years as a viewer, as somebody encountering the work, and to respect the viewer's intelligence. So it's a much more complex experience. what's exciting about for me with the exhibition is really seeing all of this work, of course, together for the first time. These are all pieces that have come from different museums or biennials in different parts of the world, and it's the first time they're all, in fact, it's the first time any of them are being shown together. They've each been presented a number of times in different places, and what's interesting with my work as well is that they evolve and morph, depending on the venue, depending on the country they're shown in. The works change quite a bit, and some elements are added, some elements are taken away with each installation. And so it's been quite a luxurious process of being able to develop this, because we've had a long period to develop the project and to really bring the pieces together and have them kind of dialogue in this way.